Well, thanks for that, Rucha. Yes, so Adani stock staging a bit of a recovery as we speak. Let's pull up some of the names. Ambuja Cements up 4%, ACC up 4 and change. You also have Adani Enterprises and Ports, and within the Nifty 50 pack, if we can pull up the heat map, in fact, Adani Ports and Adani Enterprises are two out of the top three leading stocks in terms of within the Nifty pack as well. So SBI, but outside of that, Adani Ports as well as Adani Enterprises leading the Nifty 50 in terms of gains. Let's also pull up something like an Adani Total Gas and Adani Power. So they're well off the lows from yesterday as well as from today, and we're in fact just clocking highs as we speak. There you go. On Adani Ports, 3.3% higher. We've clocked an intraday high and well off the lows. As you can see, 1054 was the low, almost a 10% recovery from those lows that you can see. Adani Power as well, the day's low was 446, currently nearly 490 rupees a share. Adani Green also recovering around 12% from yesterday's lows. So if you talk about specific stocks recovering from yesterday's lows, you have Adani Green 12% off the low, Adani Enterprises 11% off the lows, and over 8% Adani Ports, Adani Power and Adani Total. All three of them staging a strong recovery. So Adani stocks definitely in focus. Adani Energy possibly the only one still trading in the red, but otherwise a good strong recovery that you're seeing across the board in Adani names.
Well, thanks for that, Harsh. Definitely recovering from yesterday's lows as we can see over here. But moving on to an NDTV profit exclusive, we have Ola Electric who has laid off nearly 1,000 employees since August, according to sources. And my colleague Tushardeep Singh is standing by with more details on this one. This, of course, comes on the back of troubles plaguing on the company from a huge backlog of after-sales complaints to the center. Taking up this issue with the company, we have Tushar. Now, this is a systematic layoff plan in process. Is it, Tushar?
Ola Electric has been laying off 100 people every week for the last 2 months in an attempt to shore up profitability when sales have been on a decline. So essentially in the last 2 months or so, the company has given the pink slip to about 100 people every week. Just last week, a source told us that the company, that about 100 laptops were deposited back at the headquarters in Bangalore. This essentially means that since listing, the company has laid off about 1,000 people. That's according to the Traxon data that NDTV Profit sourced. Since all of these layoffs have actually started around the time the service-related woes of the company came to the fore. After that, the company announced its plans to expand its network coverage area to about 2,000 stores and 1,000 service centers.
Okay, that's of course Ola Electric, but let's again switch back focus on Adani and the entire group, because you're seeing good traction across the board on those stocks. 3.5% now on Adani Ports, in fact trading sub 25 in terms of its trailing 12 months price to earnings. And when you're looking at the historical PE, it's still well below the historical 27-28 times price to earnings, that 5-year average P that Adani Ports has clocked, and therefore something to be looked at. Let's also bring in Vineet Bolinchkar of Ventura with regard to this. Vineet, I'm not sure. Do we have Vineet?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I'm there.
Hi Vineet. Good afternoon. Good chatting with you. Vineet, you're seeing good traction across the board where Adani Group stocks are concerned. Are you constructive on any specific names? Because we saw a decentish correction. And was that an opportunity to buy, and are there still opportunities to buy?
So, I believe that most of the group stocks are quoting at 50% discount to the intrinsic value. And it is purely the sentiment that is getting it down. Definitely worth buying at these levels, especially Adani Green, Adani Transmission and Adani Ports. I think these are long-term businesses with secured cash flows, and nothing really changes for them. Obviously, Adani Green has seen a little bit of whacked because, it's primarily, all the acquisitions are primarily settled around the green energy bit. But other than that, I think all the other businesses, even Adani Power looks extremely good at current levels.
Yeah, so, I'm just looking at the correction and the 5-day stock chart for Adani Green, Vineet, as we speak, down 24% in the last 5 days. That's much more than just a correction. You're suggesting that there is definitely more value than what you are seeing on your screen at the moment. How quickly do you expect this value to unwind in your view? And where do you expect, give us 3 reasons why you're most constructive on this one.
So, let's look at the facts. I think Adani and Ports and Adani Transmission are 2 businesses which should recover very, very quickly. As far as Adani Green is concerned, I think, they've got a pretty well laid out plan in terms of what kind of capacities they want to add. The stated goal is to do about 45 to 50 gigawatts. And, it's primarily going to be Indian in nature. Okay. They've seen, the Adani group has seen a little whack coming from Kenya cancelling contracts. But that is in no way going to, disrupt their domestic growth. And even if you see the companies from a capital standpoint, they have got adequate reserves to cover 2 years of debt. Their cash flows are significantly well secured. Their debt is that their repayment is structured in a way that bullet payments or the larger part of interest and capital are paid out towards the end of the tenure of the loans. Their loans are largely matching their tenure of contracts, and if they're not getting 25-year contract loans, then they're pretty long-term in nature. So given all these facts, I think that the group is doing exceedingly well. Additionally, I believe that the group is going to do 100 lakh crores of EBITDA. And, if you slow them down in any ways, they will only be using this EBITDA to repay debt or upfronting the debt payments. And without sacrificing on the locked-in growth. So that makes these companies even much more, less leveraged. So considering all these facts, I am a buyer in these stocks. It is only the sentiment that is hampering them.
Fair point. Vineet, you spoke about a 1 lakh crore portfolio level EBITDA. We have a disclosure here which says that the portfolio for the last 12 months in terms of portfolio EBITDA has grown 17%, 17. And EBITDA currently, trailing 12 months, is roughly 83,440 crore. How quickly do you expect it to get to that number of 1 lakh crore? Do you expect that to happen next year?
Yeah. I think it would take 18 months, midway for FY27, I think we'll be at that steady state levels.
Sure. Now, I want to switch focus on 2 specific counters. I want to talk about Adani Ports, Vineet, and I want to talk about Adani Enterprises. Now, Ports, the Bloomberg average analyst rating has a target price of 1,754, which is a 53% upside. It's the highest outside of Adani Enterprises, of course, in terms of the Nifty 50 counters. 88% upside on Adani Enterprises. Talk to us. Are you constructive on these names? I know Ports, you suggested you're constructive. But just talk to us about your thesis with regard to both Ports and Enterprises.
So let's go with Adani Enterprises.
Okay.
It's an incubation business, right?
Yes.
Airports, I don't need to tell you or the viewers how well the airports industry or the travel industry is doing in India. Their copper business has started. Their other businesses have been doing well. If we talk about the Anil new initiatives or the hydrogen business, they are well into producing ingots and wafers. They're already exporting to the US markets. right? So everything is going right, and in my opinion, investment of about $1 billion per annum is what is required to get to their 10 metric tons of hydrogen that they plan to produce by 2031. And I don't foresee any kind of, issues around funding this entire capex. They've got enough levers and more within the group to tweak certain growth prospects, like they did during the Hindenburg crisis, where they slowed down roads. So they have these levers, and they can prioritize capital where you get the maximum bang for the buck.
Right.
Today we believe that they have preponed, capex on their data centers business, which was supposed to come up in 2030. Now they're talking about 2026. And data centers is a very exciting opportunity, and all these businesses are going to do well. So we are very, very constructive on these companies. And if you want to take a bet on India in terms of new age industries, I think Adani Enterprise is the way to go. If you want to play the India Atmanirbhar Bharat, Make in India and export growth story, then you have Adani Ports. These are both proxies on aspiring India as we speak. And their index counters available at 50% discount to intrinsic value.
Right.
It is my opinion that once this deep state imbroglio gets ironed out, once the Trump government is in place, I think massive re-rating will start happening with the Adani stocks.
Okay, so timing as well. I want to talk about Ambuja and ACC, cement companies. Cement companies in general have shown some vulnerability, Vineet, over the last quarter or two. How quickly do you expect a reversal? And would the best way to play it, given everything that's happening with regard to news flow and the kind of impact with regard to stock prices, would the best play be ACC and Ambuja in the cement space?
I would bet my money on both these counters because Ambuja and ACC are quite rich, cash rich. They have taken a lot of initiative to cut cost in using green power and other efficient measures. See, Ambuja and ACC were not run as efficiently as to their potential, and Adani's are pioneers at cutting costs through execution. Additionally, there is the huge upside that is coming from consolidation within the industry, and it is my sense that pricing has been weak because many of the players are on the prowl to pick up assets, and as the industry consolidates, keeping pressure on cement prices lowers the profitability of the target companies, which they are then able to get sweetheart deals. So, despite, replacement cost being at about between $110 to $140 per ton, a large number of deals are happening sub 100. So, that is the rationale for my theory. As far as cement demand is concerned, Q2 is going to be very exciting because government expenditure has been on the slow for various reasons like heavy rainfall, elections in many of the important states. So Maharashtra and Haryana and UP are the states which, trigger our economy. And given all these facts, I believe that cement demand should grow firmly. And I am expecting about 10% demand growth, and pricing will also follow.
Okay, so thanks so much, Vineet, for all of those views and, of course, for breaking it down for us business-wise. That's, of course, Vineet Bulinjkar and his views, Head of Research, Ventura Securities. I also have with me Chakri Lokpriya, Managing Partner at Red Strawberry, to talk to us, of course, about his views with regard to the Adani Group. Chakri, I want to first start off by asking you, have you been a buyer in Adani Group names over the last couple of days? And have you used this correction of sorts to actually add to your holding in Adani, if any?
Hello, good afternoon. Yesterday's sell-off was quite unwarranted because these are still just charges, and that are probably baseless at that. And the laws of one country don't apply to another. And if it comes to an issue of fundraising, there are numerous other recourses. And by the way, mind you, it's not even a case yet. So therefore, the reaction of the street of the correction was quite huge. Adani Ports, clearly, we've been buying. The revenue growth and EPS growth visibility is very high. Adani Green, I think the correction has been quite severe, and therefore, it is definitely worth looking at current levels given their growth plans. Yes, capital, US is not only the only jurisdiction, there are other capital areas as well, and this whole thing is indeed not even a case.
Okay, so Adani Green, Adani Transmission, Chakri, two stocks which have seen 25% plus in terms of the correction over the last day or two. Do you find both of these extremely interesting at this point? And what's the upside that you see on a couple of these counters?
Both these companies and Adani Green, which has corrected quite a lot, their growth plans are extremely strong, extremely secular growth over the next several years. And then, therefore, the revenue and EPS will grow very strongly over the coming years. Companies like this, the upside is very, very significant for patient investors. Therefore, it's definitely worth looking at.
Right. And what about the Nifty 50 counters? Ports. You spoke about ports. You're constructive with regard to ports.
I think you're right. Absolutely right. Adani Ports, clearly the revenue visibility is very strong. Correct. It is a market leader. Economy is picking up. So clearly would buy Adani Ports. And Adani Enterprises is a holding company of sorts. So therefore, the sum of the parts would add up value, and therefore there's significant valuation potential there as well.
Yeah, because the average analyst expects an upside of 88% on Adani Enterprises. So that's for a Nifty 50 counter, that's quite a bit. What about cement, Chakri? What do you believe is dragging the cement pack at the moment? Of course, last couple of quarters, we were speaking with Vineet as well. It's been a tough time. But Ambuja ACC in this kind of correction mode, 10% odd in terms of a discount available, would you go and buy those cement counters?
Absolutely would buy ACC and Ambuja because they are now the market leaders and the only competition to Ultratech now. And ACC and Ambuja have been the leaders in going out and scouting out and buying acquisitions, making acquisitions. And now it has become more of volume rather than pricing, and volume will add to market share. And therefore, I think, ACC and Ambuja will continue to strengthen their position by making the niche acquisitions and further strengthening their pan-India presence. And definitely worth looking at, given all the spend across infrastructure and the various areas that require cement.
You spoke about two companies which you would go out and buy. One would be an Adani Green, one would be the Adani Ports. So my belief is I wanted your top three buys within the Adani pack if that were to be so for viewer perspective. So two, maybe these two, or if you want to change, but your three top picks.
Adani Ports, Adani Green, as well as ACC and Ambuja, all these companies are extremely well placed, have a very strong runway, clearly worth buying at current levels.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chakri. It's been a pleasure chatting. Thanks so much for coming in and giving us that perspective.